joining us, guys. Special welcome to Councillor Alice Blacken, also with us this morning. And Alice, did you want to give a quick update from Council?
Yes.
If you want to come and join me up here, we've got our designated speaking zone up here. Okay. I'll move off to the side.
As opposed to speaking stick?
Yes.
Right, okay. Good morning, everyone, and it is exciting to be here in a room with so many business people in town. A couple of points to update you on, and you will have seen, some of you will have seen this in the media already. So the Davey Road interchange is well underway, and that's the result of a number of things, or it has a relationship with a couple of different things. One is the recycling, the new facility out at Nexus, so the plastics recycling facility, and last night we discussed purchasing of land to put through a Thaguna link road through to Davey Road, which will be part of the way we will be able to access and egress out of Thaguna into the future, which is very exciting for those of you who are fed up with the traffic out there. QE2, we're ripping the roof off the theatre at the moment and we're replacing that. The reason we're doing that is because we had a few leaks. There were a couple of issues with ventilation and other systems within the roof space that we've had for a number of years, and so we're dealing with that at the moment. That's part of the redevelopment of that area. We're looking at the entertainment centre, which is where we have the main dinners and functions as opposed to the theatre. We're looking at renovating that as part of the bigger plan for QE2, and we've been working with consultants to look at what we might be able to achieve with QE2, noting a number of factors, including, as you will have all noticed, that the majority of the buildings on QE2 look outside onto the street, or a lot of them do, not many of them look into, so that's part of what we're looking at. The next thing I wanted to touch on, the last thing I want to touch on, is the Murray River Experience Plan. So recently we've done up the wood-fired ovens, and that was opened at the end of last year, so we've added another oven and a half, I think it is, and some more covered in space. We're looking at doing some work from there around to the back of the pool in the short to medium term to be able to allow us to access the river down in that area. And Council is also doing a big structural review plan for that area from the pool around to Union Bridge and up to Hume Street, so how we can redevelop that whole precinct. It's a bigger picture plan, so it would be some years until we would see that come to fruition, but we are looking at that at the moment. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice, and congratulations to Council on pulling together such significant infrastructural work through a pretty tumultuous time last year. It's great to see that we're getting some shovel-ready things happening, and whilst we might not be able to see the finished result of these things in the short term, I think it's really motivating for us in the business community to see what those opportunities are going to be. My advice to you guys: stay connected with us, because you will hear lots of information from Council. This is where you'll hear it, and the beautiful thing about that is that it's a two-way conversation. So if you've got questions, if you've got feedback, then you can do that through us to Council. So a real value add, I think, to any membership. Before we kick off, we have to acknowledge our sponsors. Without our sponsors, we can not do anything, essentially. So we would normally have all of our sponsors for the calendar year locked in at the moment, just because we've had nobody in the business development manager role up until recently. We're still working on that, so this is to be continued. But sincere thank you to all of our sponsors: Albury City, Telstra, NBN, 2AY, IBT, Shoreway, Blackbox, Business Edge Accountants with us this morning as well, Total HRM, PRD, RSM with us this morning, and Peter Stewart. We do have more to announce on our sponsorships, and we're very grateful for the I guess the response after a really challenging year, that the support that we're getting from our sponsors. So thank you. And that's enough for welcomes and all the boring stuff. Let's get into the good stuff. Joe Hewitt is with us this morning from Inland Rail to give us an update on the Albury to Illabo project. Joe, if you'd like to join us on the speaking mat, and over to you.
Thank you, Carrick. Thanks everyone for having me here today. I've got my colleague Casey in the room as well. We wanted to give you a really quick project update on the Albury to Illabo project for Inland Rail. So last year the project was upgraded to state significant infrastructure, and what that means is that we had to revisit some of the planning that had already been done and do some additional investigations. With that, we appointed a new service provider called WSP. So WSP have been very busy formulating these early reference designs, and we now have them available for the community to have a look at. We've actually got some copies up the back here today. We're hoping that we can get feedback from the community, from businesses, from councils and other asset owners in order to feed into this design. And what we'll then do is do a further iteration of that and then come back out again, and then that will be the reference design process. That essentially will then feed into a more detailed design process, and then construction sometime in 2023 is when that tender is sort of planned to happen. So there's 12 project sites in the Albury to Illabo section. Some of them are quite significant. In Wagga in particular, we've got some major bridge rebuilds. In Albury, we're looking at the Murray River Bridge. We've got the Albury Station Yard and the footbridge there. We've also got the Barella Road bridge there, and we'll be doing the track lower there. And then Billy Hughes Bridge, which is down out further towards Edamoga. So they're the main sites for Albury. It is important to note that this is an enhancement project, so we're not upgrading the whole track. It's just looking at specific sites along that alignment. So in terms of the business interface, we will be doing some capability building further into the year, and we'll certainly keep Carrick and the team up to date about when those workshops and courses and the like will be happening. And that's about making sure that the Albury business community can be ready to work with Inland Rail and to work with its Tier 1 contractor once they're finally appointed. So that's something that's coming up. We'll also be having some information sessions in Albury, QE2 Square on the 20th of Feb. That'll be from 10 a.m. to 12. And we've also got an online session as well happening. So there's a registration required for that, and that's on the 25th of Feb. All those details are available on the website, and we can certainly give you some more details after all the presentations are finished. And we've also got some giveaways up the back too, if anyone's interested. So that's it for me. Very, very brief, but certainly if you've got questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Casey and I. We will be around and in the community for the next, especially for the month of February, but always happy to give you guys information. So thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And if anybody has any questions for Joe, shoot your hand up now or forever hold your peace. Yes, Hugh?
Sorry.
I should stay up there.
So the one on the Barella Road, that'll be just lowering it so that you can actually take 2 containers?
Exactly right, yeah. So
what about the use?
track lower as well. Yeah, so the whole pretext is to enable the double stack trains to move through, and then it's vertical and width clearance that's required. So we've been able to identify track lowering at both those locations.
So that pedestrian bridge will be the same, will it?
Pedestrian bridge at the station will be a new bridge, and it will be a continuation of the existing bridge that's over the highway at the moment. So for those of you that haven't actually walked on the bridge, it actually steps down over the rail yard. So it will be a continuation at that same level that it is over the highway, and it'll have the same look and feel.
So is that what's happening at Benalla and Tolkien, with those pedestrian bridges?
No, so Benalla is a whole different story. I probably don't have enough information about that one, but Colcan will be a bridge removal there.
Okay.
So that bridge is currently decommissioned, so that will be removed and won't be replaced.
Cool. Any other questions? No? My advice would be have a chat with Joe and Casey. I think the opportunities might sound like they're, in one particular industry, i.e. construction, but the flow-on effect that it has, in terms of opportunities for the business community are much greater than what you might think. there's so many different types of businesses that can be involved in this process and potentially get some good results because of it. So keep in touch with Jo. If you need contact details, we will circulate her details for you. Moving along, a very exciting initiative that we're really grateful to be a part of. Our next presenter we've got with us, Sarimah Hellyer from the Border Trust, is here to talk to us about a brand new giving program that I think all of you will find interesting and refreshing and invigorating in the philanthropic space, because it kind of challenges the mould that we're all used to. So Sarimah, if you'd like to pop up, and I'll hand over to you. I'll hand the speaking mat over to you.
Right.
Welcome to the speaking mat.
Thank you.
I don't know about you guys, but the suspense is. Yeah.
Oh.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Sarimah Hellyer. I'm part of the Border Trust. I'm a director of the volunteer board, and I have 3 other board members here in the audience with me today, Michael Salter, Gabe Patterson and Tricia Ayres. And I'm here to talk to you about a new initiative called Give 500. So the Border Trust has been involved with Albury Business Connect for quite a few years, but just more recently we've worked with Albury Business Connect to develop this new program of giving. So Give 500 is a collective giving model. This is not a new model. This is something we have worked closely with partners in the Geelong Foundation and the Fremantle Foundation to establish in our region. And the concept is really quite simple. It's about a lot of people giving a little. It's about creating an accessible entry point for like-minded people who are interested in philanthropy in our region, and coming together to create a movement in our organisation where we can all embrace and build as a community. So the concept is that we seek contributions of $500 from individuals, families, businesses, groups of friends across our region each year. It's an annual program. And collectively, we seek to, in our first year, we're seeking 50 contributions, and we seek to grow that every year. We bring those contributions together at the end of the financial year, and we equate each of those contributions with one vote. And so we come together as a group. It'll be October of 2021, that'll be the inaugural kickoff of our first pitch night, and everybody comes together to vote on the project in our community they want to see those funds granted to. So this is a significant grant. It's much larger in value than any of the grants that Border Trust generally gives out in their local giving programs. This is it starts at around about a $15,000 grant, and our goal is to get that up to $100,000 for our local community with over a 5-year period. We've seen this work really effectively in Geelong and Fremantle. Both of those community foundations now have programs where they have a regular 100 to 200 givers, give or take, each year. And they've made a real impact on those communities in the type of projects they've been able to establish. Just going through all of my notes really quickly. I think what's really important to say, and the vision we certainly have for Give 500, is that it's not just a giving program. There's certainly people that seek to give anonymously in this community, and that's fantastic. But what we're seeking to build here is a movement and a program where people can become part of it, businesses can become part of this. You join the Give 500, you receive a pack of information to display that you're a part of Give 500, to create that visual identity in our community, that people can see that you're a part of the Border Trust Give 500, that you help us to market that, to build the audience for Give 500. And likewise, we give back to you, to all those businesses and if interested, other members of the community who want to be profiled and marketed back out to the broader community. So, for example, we've had, well, Albury Business Connect are a key partner in setting up a business, and certainly we've then gone to some way to market them back to through Border Trust, through our social networks and our digital networks, through our own events, to promote them as a partner of this scheme. Likewise, with people who have made their $500 contribution, we've got a couple of insurance agencies, and we have physiotherapists who have all joined the movement in the last couple of months. It's been really exciting then to get them on camera to talk about why they're passionate about philanthropy in our community, what they want to see that money go towards, and being able to give a shout out to their business in the community for being involved with us. So it's sort of a two-way journey that we're seeking to take, and we really want to see this build some legs in the community to stand alone in that sense. So has anybody got any questions at this point?
Yeah, but what kind of projects do you support?
Well, we don't know yet here exactly, but I can give you an idea of what has been supported in other regions where this has successfully happened, taken off, I should say. I know these are examples from the Geelong Foundation. Community social farm promoting urban farming, programs that collect, restore and provide bicycles which act as a social enterprise to then employ individuals and upskill them for future work opportunities in the community, sports and recreation programs for young and at-risk individuals, programs that funded free dental care to people, to homeless people. They're just some of the examples that we have of what they've been able to achieve in other communities. And look, the sky's the limit. I mean, we certainly have applicants to Border Trust where they would be good fit for this type of a program, but generally our grants with Border Trust have been lesser amounts. So in the first year, if we're successful of getting our 50 contributions, that'd be $25,000. We anticipate in the first year where we'll be putting 60% into the grant, 40% into an endowment fund to grow the program, and that would continue going forward to the point where hopefully in year 5 we're at about $125,000. So that would really shift what we could grant. And we're saying that it'd be one grant. Just to step back a second, the program finishes on the 30th of June each year, and we will then go through some due diligence. We will open the grant application process for people to apply for the program. We will do some of that work before we get to the pitch night, which is in October. So by the time it comes for everyone, you know, a nice night out in Albury, everyone dresses up a bit, has a few little wines, has a vote, it will be down to the last 2 contenders for the grant. And the second person won't walk away empty-handed. There will be a small grant for that organisation as well, but the majority of the funds will go towards the winning organisation. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you like to share with everyone here what the Border Trust already do support?
Do you know what? That was actually the start of the speech. I went straight past that.
Have you
I don't like public
the
speaking.
video was quite
Yes, thank you. Well, we're a philanthropic organisation. We support the regions of Albury, Wodonga, Towong, Federation, Indigo, and when I said them, Great Hume. Got it. We raise money from the community for the benefit of the community. That might be through events and fundraising that we do ourselves. That might be through sub-funds that have been set up by other families, businesses in the region who make grants. We make grants on their behalf each year. We are a volunteer board of 12, I think I said that earlier, and we're all very hands-on. We are all play a very active role in the community. So that's who Border Trust are, and it's now into our 16th year of operation, and I believe one of my board members here today has been here for at least 10 of those, so there's some long-serving participants on the board. Yeah. Anything else? Call to action. How anybody can become involved? Well, just straight at bordertrust.org.au. There's several of us here that you can speak to today, obviously. What we think is really important from a business perspective is just thinking about how you could use this in your own business. So it might be one vote, but what a great opportunity to bring your own business together to say, how are we going to use our vote? How do we collectively decide how to use that vote in our own business? You know, it's good for a bit of morale building, a bit of culture building. It could be just something that there's no limits to how innovative you could be and how you could create that within your own business or family. I mean, we've talked with individuals who are interested in pitching $100 in each in a group of friends, and that they would then share that vote amongst them. So in any way that you can. So bordertrust.org.au, and donations online, fully tax deductible. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarimah. And something that I learned late last year, which I couldn't unhear, was the level, in Australia, the average that actually goes to a particular cause for a fund is a lot less than what you think. So when Sarimah mentioned that 60% of this is going to be going to the grant, and then 40% going to help run the initiative. I think I heard, and Michael, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here, but I think I heard that there was an average of about 20% is what normally actually ends up going to the cause as a national average. So what we're doing here, what these guys are doing here, is significantly having more impact than some of these quite large initiatives that we might be familiar with out there in the bigger world. So it's a great opportunity to make a difference in our communities here, and we would strongly urge anybody to get involved in it. It is not expensive. It's a great way to build community, and the great thing that we have in regional Australia here is community. We have a very strong sense of it. So congratulations, guys. It's a fantastic initiative, and we're very, very excited and proud to be partnering with it. Moving on, we've got our next presenter this morning. Gavin James is with us from Lightning IP. You may have heard or seen of Gav recently. His development of his border traffic app or website. So Gav, you're going to be speaking to us this morning about choosing the right cloud-based phone system for your business, because it's a very complicated world. You're going to make it really simple for us, aren't you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try it, at least. I do have my cards. I'm not much of a great public presenter, so if I don't look at you too much, please don't feel disappointed. So good morning, everyone. So I'm Gavin. Today I'm going to be discussing cloud-based phone systems, understanding the benefits, and how to choose the right solution for your business. Just a little bit about me first. I started in the telco when I first left school, just over a decade ago now. Now with my business partner Dan, we run a locally operated internet service provider based right here in Albury. I just love designing solutions to fit customer needs, whether it is for phone systems, creating complex data networks, or even answering the question of how long it takes to cross the border. Hopefully I don't have to do that one again. I also am about to take on a new role as dad, with my wife and I expecting our first baby in a couple of weeks. So after this presentation, you should have a bit of knowledge on the benefits of migrating to a cloud-based phone system, what to look for in choosing a service provider, as well as what to consider when choosing between physical handsets as well as soft phones, being a very big trend now. Okay, so what is a cloud-based phone system? A cloud-based phone system is a software version of the traditional PBX hardware. Instead of having a central unit located and running in your office, a cloud-based solution is hosted for you by your service provider in a data center, aka the cloud. Unlike a traditional PBX, which requires additional components as your business scales, a cloud-based phone system is completely virtualized, and as such, adding additional extensions or features is as simple as clicking a button. A good cloud-based phone system will work with a wide range of hardware. It can be accessed from anywhere with an internet connection, and it's highly available. In other words, it's always on. Right. So there are quite a few benefits to moving to a cloud-based system. I've condensed a few of them into a couple of categories for us to go through. First up is remote working and accessibility, a topic that's obviously quite a big one given the struggles we faced throughout 2020. %80 of businesses report that they would like to allow some sort of work from home arrangements for their staff. The great thing with the cloud-based phone system is that the service provider will centrally host the service so that your phones will usually only need a standard internet connection to work. Pick up a handset, take it home, plug it in, it really is that easy. If you're planning a work from home environment, then this is an essential first step to get your team in contact with customers. How much will this save me? Something that I'm sure everyone wants to know. So, just comparing some basic functionality between an on-premise system and a hosted phone system, looking at about a 12-user office, and in subsequent years, just making the assumption that we might have to replace a handset because it's dropped off a table or something like that. Covered in these figures is your system cost, installation, as well as ongoing call costs, so your lines, your plans, and your calls. Things start to get a bit more complicated when your business starts to grow. So a bit of a real-world example, splitting the office over 2 locations. This type of arrangement is going to require a second controller for the other site, more phone lines, more ongoing costs, whereas the cloud-based system, it's the same. Going to a unified communications setup. So I'll go through unified communications in a little bit, but basically this type of a setup provides a much more like-to-like situation with a cloud-based phone system. The cost to run and maintain the on-premise system, as well as have your additional licensing, hardware, and maintenance, is what really starts to skyrocket the price for an on-premise system. Hosted, still the same. Security, reliability, and updates. Probably not something that you think of too much when it comes to your phone system. So always on. A cloud-based phone system is always on. So your customers no longer need to hear an engaged signal just because the power goes out in the office. Instead, you can handle your calls in the cloud, having them go to mobile, to voicemail, anything like that. It stays on so your customers can reach you. Preventing attacks. If you are planning on DIYing your own cloud-hosted solution or exposing an on-site system to the internet, be prepared to deal with attacks. And I'm saying they will come in within minutes of you setting this up. Yes, it happens. Dan and I have seen it in the past where we've seen businesses fall victim to these exact types of attacks and costing thousands. Feature updates. Because they are just software, a cloud-based phone system often sees features being added to their platform, allowing you to stay on the cutting edge of communications without needing to reinvest in hardware. Monitoring and reporting. There is a lot of data stored in your phones that you can use to your benefit. How many calls go unanswered in your business? Often when I'm talking to a business owner, they have no idea. All they know is they do not want it to happen. With the right tools, you can generate reports from your cloud-based system to really drill down on when and how often your customers are calling and what's happening to those calls. Unified communications. Some of you have probably heard that keyword. It's quite a buzz one at the moment in our industry. Unified communications is basically bringing together as many contact solutions into one platform and being able to access it from wherever you need. CRM integration, text messaging, Facebook and Twitter, these are all the types of additional channels that phone systems are starting to handle, enabling your staff to become more flexible in the way they interact with customers. With a cloud-based system, half the work's already done because it's already cloud-based. All right, so going on to our next takeaway, choosing a provider. So you decide to set up a new phone system, who do you go to? These are my 3 big tips. So 1, location. Where is the company that you're approaching? Do they have a local presence in your area? Big one, if you have any issues, you want them there. Reputation. Check out their reviews, ask for referrals, ask other people you know that use them, as well as asking them for clients that might be willing to talk to you about their experience. I think it's a big one that everyone should be doing, absolutely. Pricing and their pricing structure. If you're planning to grow your business, make sure you think about where you're heading. You don't want to get stuck into a pricing structure that scales way out. It might be economical at a small couple of handsets, but you don't want to grow to 20, 30 handsets and be stuck paying that same rate just because you've locked into that system. So think about it. All right, the next takeaway, soft phones or desk phones. In the last couple of months, this has been something that's been asked of me at every client meeting. And really, it comes down to preference. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. So desk phones, they are dedicated hardware that works, well, we all know how they work. We've all seen them, we've all used them. Receptionists, contact centers will almost always benefit from having a desk handset because of their ease of use. Soft phones, if you make the switch, it will be a learning curve. So take that into consideration. They are extremely economical, with many options being free to only paying a couple of dollars for a really feature-rich option. It is unlikely the right solution for you is going to be all one way or all the other way. Instead, consider a hybrid office where some users may have desk phones, some users may use soft phones. The best technology solutions will go unnoticed in your business. This is something I try to live by when we're offering solutions, and something that you should really think about in your business, not just with your phones, but with any of your technology. If it's noticeable, it's probably not working right. Questions? Yes?
What's a soft phone?
So a soft phone is basically it's a piece of software that you can run on your computer, your PC, and you use a headset instead of having a physical handset. So it would be a dialer. You can also get soft phones for your mobiles, so you can have it on the go with you. So you can run the soft phone. I feel like you were about to show someone. Clayton has one set up, and I felt like that's what he was going to do.
It's at work, it's at work.
Yeah, so you can basically have the soft phone, say, on your mobile. That way you've got your phone system in your pocket wherever you go. Yep. Yes.
You also mentioned that if the power goes out, then the system will still go. But when the power goes out, the internet disappears.
Yeah, so because everything's hosted in the cloud, calls will still reach the system because the system isn't located on your premise. Now, your premise can't connect to the phone system, which is a bit of a struggling point. But if you do have, say, those mobile soft phones, or you've got remote workers that are located in other areas, they won't be affected just because your office goes out.
But the office still won't have.
This office will still go out, unless you have backup batteries and things like that, which are definitely a possibility as well. And we do definitely recommend that in our solutions. Yeah, your office would go out as well.
But the customers won't know.
But the customers won't know. They'll only either hear they'll go to your voicemail, but they wouldn't get the engaged signal that they would normally get. Yes.
So if the internet goes out at your office,
Yep.
and you have a phone, could you mobile hotspot?
Yeah, you can mobile hotspot into your phone. So a lot of phones, these hardware devices will have Wi-Fi built in, so you can hotspot your phones like you do your computer. And you can, I mean, if you've got your mobile into you can generally just go into the web portal and redirect your calls to your mobile anyway. Yeah.
Do clouds ever lose electricity?
It is possible. A good provider is going to have backup solutions, and they manage that themselves. So I know for us, we do that. We have it backing up if there was any ever issue in our cloud. We have seen it happen once for us, and it was back up and running within 5 seconds. No one noticed. But if it does happen and it's more permanent to that, we can pull up a new server within minutes and have it running again. It's it just depends on who your solution provider is and how they mitigate that risk. And that's a good question to ask.
What about call quality?
Call quality.
How can you control that?
So yeah, that's a really good question. Good internet connectivity is the best call quality. You have effectively in the back end of the core networks between telcos, there is a standard, and most phone systems will use that standard. So it's always the same call quality throughout. And it's usually really good unless you have a pretty spotty internet connection these days. Yes?
I don't know much about clouds apart from the ones up there. It's a physical location, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, yeah.
What is the normal procedure when that burns down?
So it depends on that location. So a lot of data centers, and that's probably another topic altogether, will have some sort of contingency. So for instance, in our environment, which I don't mind explaining, we use Microsoft Azure. Microsoft Azure hosts 2 data centers in Australia, all located in existing pre-established data centers. If they had an issue with one of those data centers, so they host in Sydney, well actually they host Sydney, Canberra and Melbourne. We host in Sydney and we have backups in Melbourne. So if we had an issue in Sydney, we would pull it up in Melbourne straight away. If there was an issue internally with Microsoft, if they had an issue in Sydney, they actually located 2 data centers in Sydney. So their hardware is able to, if there was one location died, it would be up and running on what's called a live migration to the second data center. No one would ever know. There's a lot of technology around that and keeping things what they call high availability and live non-stop. Even if you have to move, even if Microsoft decided to move their data centers, we wouldn't even see it go down. But that's some of it's crazy technology, and that's a completely different technology. Completely different subject to go into on that one. Another rabbit hole altogether.
Who owns the data if you change providers? Does that data stay with you, or does it stay with the provider? So,
for instance, with us, if someone ports out from our service, and once they've cancelled the phone system with us, all their data just disappears. They could keep a backup of that, so they could take those monitoring reports. What we usually do is we would send them to the customer, and that's how they would normally consume them. So they would have that data on site. We generally don't keep. We only keep what we're required to keep for as long as we have to. Otherwise, it's just storing lots of data that no one's ever going to use.
Probably a really broad question, but how secure is the cloud? We hear, and it's probably a silly question in some ways.
Yep.
But there's a lot of people still don't understand when you think of the cloud. It's a
Yeah.
building, 50-story building with full of computers and stuff and data or metadata. But, you know, when you think of hackers can get into the American defense systems and all that,
Yeah.
then, you know,
Yeah.
so simply.
Yeah, it's as secure as the people that you trust that are running it, really. We trust our providers that we're using for hardware. Our customers trust us that we're going to be doing the right thing to make sure that their experience is secure. It is all about that trust.
Most people get hacked based on their own interactions on their own computer, not direct cloud.
Yeah.
It
really is.
Money from their own selves, not cloud.
Usually the weakest link is the end user.
Yeah.
That's where we try and...
It's a kind way to put it.
It is. It's something that Dan and we always have to protect ourselves against, because what we usually see is someone might get into one of our customers' modems and then we all of a sudden see suspicious activity coming to it and we're like, okay, that's not right. So then we have to deal with that from there.
Gavin, can you explain, because some people I've spoken to had this conception that voice over internet protocol takes up bandwidth and slows your internet down.
Yep.
What kind of percentage of your bandwidth, and I know it depends on what plan you're on for your internet,
Yeah.
but what are we talking about in percentage of that bandwidth?
Yeah, so in most examples, I talked about that standard that carriers use in the back end. You're talking a couple of calls per, like simultaneous calls per megabit per second. So nothing. Like if you look at, a lot of businesses are on a 50 megabit per second plan or 100 megabit per second plan. So they're only using 1% to 2% just to have 2 or 3 calls going.
So the call quality is better too.
Yeah.
The newer stuff.
Yeah, it's call quality seems to be really based around what type of handsets you get. They do a lot of like echo reduction. We have our recommendations. Other people like what they like, and that does come down to personal preference as well.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gavin. Well, that concludes our presenters for this morning. I'll just wrap up by mentioning a couple of events that we've got coming up. Yes, we've got events. It's so good. And some of them are face-to-face, which is even better. Young Business Edge have got their meet and mingle coming up on the 18th of February. And for all of these events, you can go to our website and find out more details. Business After Hours. So excited to have Business After Hours back. It's been how many months all up? Was it 11? 12? 13? Let's just go 13 months. Februry's Business After Hours on the 24th is going to be at Hilltop, which is the patient accommodation at the Albury Hospital. And on the 20th of February, Joe mentioned that there's the Inland Rail info session as well, so we'll circulate some information to you on that as well. Stay tuned to our events page on our website. We being Rachel, making all of us look good, is building a huge list of events for us this year. Stay tuned, and we look forward to seeing more of you guys face to face again. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of your days. And there's free stuff up the back as well.